Hey guys, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network. I'm your host, Steve Wormer. I am very, very excited to introduce you to our guest today. Uh-oh. The joys of going live. We've got technical difficulties out the gate, but I'm rolling with it. Okay. I don't know if you guys could hear me when I just said that, but I am super excited to introduce you to our guest here in just a couple of minutes. But before I do, I want to thank each one of you for being a part of the network. And if you're joining us for the first time, and that's entirely possible based on our growth, that I want to give glory to God for, you might be saying, what's this You Are Worthy Network? The name kind of resonates with me, but what's it all about? Well, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version, although I am a preacher. So my Cliff Notes version is different than some. But Your Worthy Network is basically a rebuttal to my personal stinking mindset. I did some heavy mindset work the last couple of years where I kept hearing this word unworthy. Anybody out there relate? And I was like, I know it's not true here, but I had to get it that oh so long distance of a few inches to my heart. And I was like, gosh, I know where this comes from. I know the origin, I know the background, but why have I been buying this lie for so long? And as I started to have more consistent victories in it, because by the way, no one, absolutely no one, even the most famous mindset coaches are perfect at it. We need help with our mindset. We need to do it with people we trust in a community. And so as I started to bust out of that stinking thinking, I said, oh my gosh, there's millions of people dealing with this kind of thing. And so I just created the You Are Worthy Network to give you a shot of hope, a shot of encouragement in a very, very dark world. And I get to meet and introduce you to new friends and people that are doing amazing things in this world, but they've overcome some stuff too. They've had some unworthy moments in their life too. We all have them. You're not alone. And before I jump into Jayme's bio, that might have timed out on me again. Nope, it didn't. I got lucky this time. Um, I want to remind you that your story's not over yet. I want to remind you that wherever you're at on the journey, that it's a chapter and the whole book still being written, and some of your best chapters are still to come. Okay, promise I'm done with that part. You're like, Steve, get out of the way. Let us have Jayme. That's what we're going to do. Meet Jayme Shiarla, my new friend. She is an executive wellness coach, NLP practitioner, author, and speaker. But before the certifications and the clients and the coaching business, there was a girl who grew up in chaos, lost people she loved far too young, and spent years throwing herself into work. Not because she loved it, but because staying busy meant she didn't have to feel it. On the outside, her life looked like a success story. On the inside, she was exhausted, empty, and silently asking, is this really all there is? It wasn't until a health crisis forced her to stop completely that Jayme had to face the question she'd been running from. Do I actually believe I'm more worthy of more than this? And the answer to that question changed everything. Today, Jayme works with high achievers, the ones who've hit every goal, earned every title, and yet still feel something's missing, helping them trade autopilot for purpose and burnout for a life that finally feels as good as it looks. Her work is rooted in her faith, her lived experience, and unwavering belief that as long as you're breathing, your purpose isn't finished. This conversation promises to be authentic, it promises to be raw, and if you've ever wondered the hard things in your story could actually become the most powerful parts of it, you do not want to miss Jayme's story. Jayme, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network. It's so good to have you.
Hello, Steve. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for just creating this network in general. You had me all up in that on my feels in that introduction because we need it. We can never have too much encouragement. So thank you for what you're doing.
How'd you feel with me reading that back to you?
It's just cool. God is good. God is so good.
It's like those stones of remembrance, jewels in your pocket, and you just got them read to you again. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
So for those of you listening that just listen to me read her bio, there's one more thing that's not in her bio that just happened 2 weeks ago. Jayme entered the next top speaker speaking competition based out of, well, I guess technically it's based out of Australia, but somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 people entered videos applications. We provided a trailer, and Jayme didn't make just the top 2,500. She didn't make just the top 1,500, the top 1,000, the top 500, the top 250. Jayme made the top 100 speakers out of
So
almost.
did Steve.
Stop. That you weren't supposed to do that. See, I
But I
see that's
did.
and she's got us live, so I can't edit it. But she made the top 100. She's incredible. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you as well. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So, Jayme, tell us what part of the world you call home.
I call home Austin, Texas, and I love it here.
You're making me want Tex-Mex right now just by saying
Listen, it's a flight away, sir. Head on over.
that. Austin, Texas. Has Austin always been home?
No, Ohio is the original home.
Mm, culture shock.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
lifetime movie in the making.
And do you have family in Texas near you, or are they all over the place?
Nope, everybody's in Ohio. I'm the one that got away.
Oh, that sounds like a story in itself.
Oh, I got stories for days, Steve, and we're only going to tap into a couple.
Well, there's always the possibility of part two and part three. You
Or
never
an
know, right?
encore, ladies and gentlemen. You haven't even heard me talk yet, but if this energy makes you feel jazzed up, type encore in the chat so I can come back a second time.
There you go. Jayme, what do you like to do for fun in Austin and anywhere? Do you like to travel? Tell us where you like to have fun and what you do.
Yes, so I always tell everybody that I am a lover of the three C's: Christ, CrossFit, and coffee. I love that CrossFit is definitely my training style of choice. I am a sucker for looking up all of the best locally owned coffee shops. Um, Reading books. I love to dance. I actually do a lot of volunteering through my church. Specifically, I get to do prison ministry out of a maximum security
Mm.
prison here in Texas. These ladies are amazing. I actually just got back this past Saturday from getting to hang out with 130 of them in the chapel, and we were praising to Jesus like nobody's business, and it was a cool thing to do. So, Christ, CrossFit, coffee, serving, dancing, reading. That's what you can
I
find me
love
doing.
that. I love it. Okay, so I've got a coffee question.
Yes.
Are you, I can't start my day without the coffee? Are you midday coffee? Or are you later in the day coffee?
I do not touch caffeine after 9 a.m. I wake up at 4:03 a.m. every morning. Coffee gets to be a part of my morning, but I'm not like, first I need coffee before I talk. No, this energy is like I wake up and it's who's up? I am. Let's go. Then I do my Bible and read or drink my coffee while I do that. But, and the question I thought you were going to ask me, which I will say it, hot take: Starbucks coffee is trash.
Burned beans. I agree with you.
Yes, it tastes like burnt water.
Well, okay, all right. Now, okay, so I will confess I'm the opposite on the coffee end. I am a water snob. I have to have a certain amount of water every day. And I am so OCD about it. I have to have a certain amount of water before I go to the gym, after I get out of the
Yeah.
gym, after lunch. So like right now, as it's 3:12 in Memphis, Tennessee, where I'm coming from, I already know that I've had 76 ounces of water, and I've started this bottle that'll give me 96
There we
shortly
go.
after this, well, shortly after the interview.
There we
But
go.
my coffee comes between 5 and 6 at night. Isn't that wild?
I would not sleep if I touched caffeine that late in the day. This already is like Energizer Bunny energy. And if I, there's no way I would be, no, the world would
I'm
not want that.
I'm like a baby. I still fall asleep like that.
uh,
But
Crazy how different we're wired.
yeah, it happens. Okay, so let's get in the time machine. And we're gonna go back in time. I feel like I'm giving the Back to the Future soundtrack when I say that. Um, let's take you back, I presume, to Ohio,
Mhm.
and let's go to your senior year of high school. And let's say there's a week left. And I want to get inside your mind a little bit. Like, you got the cap, you got the gown. I don't know, maybe you got the class ring. Uh, you've got the date marked on your calendar. You're marking them off. Is it senioritis to the max? Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait another week. I got to get out of here. I know where I'm going to work this summer. Maybe you already have a job. I know where I'm going in the fall. I've got a plan. Let's bust out. Or, mm, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I should get a job. I don't know what I'm going to do in the fall. I guess we'll see when the time comes. No right or wrong answer. 17, 18-year-olds are all over that spectrum, right? I just want to know what your thoughts were at that time.
Can I answer by slightly rebelling against the question?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So for me, it's actually really cool because I've never in particular had somebody ask me for that time frame. Um, I had a pretty chaotic upbringing. So a lot of my life I've kind of blocked out, not gonna lie. I very much have set and healed and worked through so much, and there's always different layers that pop up as I'm working with the people who are coaching me and pouring into me. But by the time I would have been a senior, I've been working since I was 11 and I've been working for myself since I was 18.
Mm,
I went to hair school while I was in high school. So I actually, as I was receiving my cap and gown, already had my license to go out and start working on my own. So part of it was I was waitressing while I was doing that and doing basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, track, softball. And at that same point was day I got cap and gown was also when I entered into a relationship, what ends up being an abusive one, for five and a
mm.
half years. So, yes, very much ready to get out of high school because overall, like I was a very dark, bitter, angry kid on the outside. I always had tons of energy and I was nice to everybody else, but inside I was a very angry, bitter person, very broken person. And so for me, I I had been trying to run from my life even before then, fighting through with healthy vices like a job and education and work ethic and the gym and stuff, tied with also a lot of unhealthy vices as well. Um, so that's kind of where I was. I was a mess, a dark mess that also still at that point had a lot of energy and just happened to be doing some of the right things while doing a lot of the wrong things.
Are you able to share with us where the chaos originated?
Absolutely. So I love that. Sorry, I'm already knowing what you you didn't tell me what you were gonna ask me. It's just I can feel it. I need to stop doing that. Assumptions is not a good thing. So yeah, I like some of the details I obviously spare just out of respect for my story and
Mhm.
the people in it. But I came from a broken home. So my parents got divorced when I was 5. I also started experiencing death at a very young age. So I lost people to cancer, car accidents,
Mm,
suicide. Two of my best friends actually even died in a car accident when I was 16, and there was a
mm.
high likelihood that I should have and could have had been with them. Had it not been, I was mad at one of them. Um, and I got put on antidepressants when I was 13. which was around the same time I lost a second cousin who was in his 50s to the day after they increased the dosage to his antidepressants. He hung himself. I lost friends to murder, suicide, overdose
Mm.
as I had gotten out of school. So anger and alcohol in a lot of ways is what I remember of what raised me. I was born and raised in a Catholic church, and I'm so grateful that I had that foundation in place. But God was very much a rule, not a relationship. And when I was not necessarily getting the opportunity to experience the love of God within just the chaos of the home I was in, um, God was this unfair guy that gave me all of these rules. And if I didn't do the right thing, I was going to go to hell. And I also
Mm.
can't complain because people have it so much worse than me. So it was like this really weird dynamic that was like back and forth. But yeah, very much there was just it has taken me many years, even actually up till just this year. I did a very, very deep, intensive coaching for myself, where I was able to actually recognize joys throughout my childhood because for some reason I was able to remember more of the anger, the darkness, the loneliness, and the not so good stuff that happened. So that's where it all came from.
Wow. So, as challenging as all that is, and we could camp on any of those if we had more time, probably do need to have you back.
Encore!
um, was the hairdresser piece the smoothest route at that point in time, or was that a long-term goal at that point?
Yeah, so what was actually crazy is that my mom's best friend owned a hair salon because I grew up in small town, middle of nowhere. Like we had bring your tractor to school day, didn't even have a stoplight in our town. So like everybody knew
Mm.
everybody. Um, and so my mom, like that being her like best friend, like we were there at the salon a lot. So it's just even from being a kid, I always wanted to do hair. And
Mm.
then I knew even in high school, I was like, I really don't want to go to college. I don't want to walk away. That was a really cool wiring that I ended up having at that age that I don't really know what influenced it. But I'm like, I never wanted the path of college. I'm like, make this make sense. I don't necessarily even know what I want to do for a living, but I'm going to go put myself in debt to then have to claw my way out to go find some massive career. I don't know. Like I very much, even at a young age, knew that. And so what my brain kind of was computing is like, I can have the benefit of getting out of school because I didn't want to be there by going to a vocational school, learning a trade so I can start a career not being in debt when I graduate, and I can still go to college as a backup if I choose, which I did do a semester of online classes and failed miserably. So that didn't work. But still, at least I had that. And then I even ended up going to massage therapy school, which actually the irony was just I didn't want to get booted off my mom's health insurance. So I decided to go to school. So I did an 18-month program to get certified as a massage therapist. So again, something that worked well with what I was already doing, but it was a good backup plan and career in case the thing that I was getting into didn't work out. So that was my way of thinking.
Okay, so you are one of only maybe three people that I have encountered. You don't know where I'm going with this one, I don't think.
I don't think so.
That was an entrepreneur right out the gate. Like
And it's
most
crazy
people,
because nobody in my family are entrepreneurs, so I can't say where it came from.
yeah, but I'm guessing amongst the chaos,
Mm,
you
yeah,
possessed a lot of creativity.
1,000%, 1,000%.
Give me a little hint. Give me a taste of what you were creative with.
Well, so I don't even necessarily know if it was that I was creative. It was just I had a lot of energy. And even deep down, like even though I didn't understand it at the time, I knew how much it sucked to hurt. And so I didn't want other people to feel that way. So I
Mm.
always went above and beyond for everybody else. And like, so I started babysitting when I was 11. And then like right when I was able to start doing sports. I did basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, track, softball, and then like my first job at 16 was working at Subway. So like I always was keeping myself busy because busy meant that I didn't have to deal with the stuff I didn't want to have to face. So I just always had my hands in something wanting to do something, but nothing ever necessarily captured my attention enough to like stick to. So that's why I bounced around and did so many different things. And also, I think the sense of chaos made me feel that I was the only person that could protect me. Because I was almost like the opposite too. Is like when things were chaotic, I was cool as a cucumber. I knew how to function in chaos. When things were calm, it's like something bad's about to happen and I don't know what. And so that's where I would get anxious. So I always just wanted to do all of the things and I didn't trust anyone or anything to take care of me but me. So it's like I also just kind of had to figure it out. And I didn't want to have to sit with my inner demons. So I ran by again healthy and unhealthy vices. Let's work, let's drink, let's party, let's go do a gajillion jobs and find purpose so you can help other people that can be like a secondhand high of a happiness for you that you don't get to experience. All in the melting pot.
Um, I'm so old. I'm thinking of a old Carly Simon song. I haven't got time for the pain.
Boom.
Mm. So, how long did you do the hairdresser route, and what was your launch off pad from there?
So I'll kind of fill in a couple other details in here. So I did hair at a hair salon. I did hair on dead people. I was a facilitator for
Oh,
grieving kids due to death of a loved one. I coached gymnastics. I coached competitive cheer. I got sucked into a network marketing company. I did physical therapy and massage therapy for a chiropractor. Um, what else was I doing at that point? Started coaching special needs, where I actually launched cheerleading as an Olympic sport for Special Olympics of Ohio. So I was doing all of these things and was running, and my body was trying to tell me, hey, this doesn't work. And in the midst of all of these things, I was also drinking a lot. I was in the gym 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, was not walking with God. And finally, my body decided to scream at me. And it was 2 months before being 26 that I got put on bed rest because of a massive kidney infection. So that was one of my come to Jesus moments that I was like, hey, what I'm doing isn't working. And if I'm only 25, single, no kids, having to only be able to provide for myself, which I was failing at miserably, like I was paycheck to paycheck, because also being an entrepreneur, you don't have guaranteed money coming in. Sometimes you get paid, sometimes you don't. And I was like waitressing on the side, doing all these things just to try to do whatever I could to get by. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, what am I going to do by the time I'm 50 if my body's giving out on me and can't even do my job now? And then I was in a lot of networking groups because of um, working for myself and all the things that I did. And there was a guy in my group that happened to be a life insurance agent, and he had sold me a policy and kept trying to recruit me to be a life insurance agent. And I was like, no, I'm already a part of a pyramid scheme. Thanks, but no thanks. And then when I was laying on my jokingly say my deathbed, randomly he called me. And he's like, "Hey Jayme, how you been?" And I'm like, "Living the dream. What's going on?" And he's like, "Not much. Just took partner in the company that I work for." And he's like, "I think we should talk." And I was like, "Done. Let's do it." And so I randomly took the leap of faith. I still maintain my licensing in hair and massage, but I took the leap of faith. And because of that company, I wasn't allowed to have those outside business activities. I walked away from network marketing, walked away from hair, and walked away from massage to sell life insurance because I knew death really, really well. I don't do that anymore, but yeah, that was kind of what catapulted me leaving that to then enter the life insurance phase of the
and
story.
this is all still in Ohio. Okay. So I'm sure I'll skip a few years somewhere, but
Yeah.
when did the move to Austin occur? And tell us where in the journey did you start doing what you love to do now?
Yes. So actually, still while I was in Ohio, I was selling life insurance and doing really, really well. Because, like I said, I didn't necessarily even care about the money. Um, I just wanted to help people because I knew how likely it was that you could lose a loved one at a very young age because I was walking that life and I saw the value in that. And so took top 20% in the company my first 2 years there. But during this time, randomly, this was like when ads first started popping up on Facebook. And there was this ad that was something about a discovery call to become a coach. And I'm like, I've been a coach my whole life. Like, and I'm from small town middle of nowhere, so like I knew there was business coaches or there was like fitness coaches and like like for sports and stuff, but I never knew this concept of like a life coach. And so it was this free call. I'm like, why not? So the next day I'm on the phone with this lady and I was like, ma'am, you have an accent, where are you calling me from? And she says the UK. And I'm like, weird, never been there. And then we start talking, and next thing I know, I'm sobbing like a baby, telling her my life story and this vision of wanting to be able to just impact and just change people's lives and all of that, and to be able to be a speaker and do all of these things. And next thing I know, I was giving thousands of dollars over to the phone, even confirming with my bank that if this was a scam, they weren't going to refund me my money. And so I actually launched my coaching business outside of the States because I didn't want to blur the dynamic that I wasn't allowed to legally with the life insurance stuff. So I'm building a life insurance business
Wow.
in the States, building a coaching business outside of the States. And then in the midst of this, because I had take top 20% in the company, they offered for me to go corporate. And I was like, no, you cannot pin me down. I don't let people tell me what to do. It's just not who I am. If you tell me to go left, I'm always going to go right. So I turned the position down twice. Finally, the third time said yes, because it would require me to move to New York. And I'm like, people in New York are far more likely willing to invest in a life coach than small town middle of nowhere that will just drink beer to be their life coach. So, and I would be corporate, which meant I didn't have to worry about muddying the waters anymore. So I was living in Connecticut, working in New York, and I was one of eight as a product consultant for a Fortune 100 company. And then I was running a wellness retreat in the country of Panama when COVID happened, and almost didn't make it back into the country, but was planning on going full time with my coaching business because I was using this corporate job as like a paid internship. I was like, they can pay me a salary because I've never experienced that in my life, and I'm going to get into the brains of all of these people and understand corporate America better. That was my plan of going into that. So then I was working from home. I didn't have to actually do what any of my job consisted of because the world was a mess. So now I'm getting paid a salary to life coach the top dogs in the company who have all of this money and literally don't even know who these
Mm.
people are that they cohabitate with, but they can't run because the world is shut down. So
Hmm.
that all kind of happened. I ended up investing into a business coach, and then middle of the pandemic went full time with my coaching business. My lease was about to be up and I had to give like a 60-day notice, and I knew I didn't want to go back to Ohio. And so I was just Googling places to live and just inquired about like 60 different places between Colorado and Texas and didn't even know Austin was a thriving city. Next day, two places from Austin called me back. The one guy on the phone was super friendly. This was such an irresponsible decision, but he's like, any questions for me? Because I'm just looking online while I'm talking to him. And I was like, yeah, how are the CrossFit gyms in the area? Nothing to do with how I'm going to pay my bills, but whatever. And he's like, ma'am, I don't know. I don't do CrossFit. I was like, I'll figure it out. I go, is it safe? He's like, I think so. I'm like, okay. So signed a lease over the phone, gave away everything that didn't fit in my car. And 3 weeks later, which would have taken me to December of 2020, I drove into Austin, Texas, not knowing anyone and anything, and just hit the ground running.
Wow.
Told you there's a lot. Stories for days.
Wow. Wildfire. So, who do you help right now? What's let me rephrase that. Let's say you get to live your ideal day. And maybe you're doing that every day, but share with us what your perfect day looks like from the time you get up to that coffee to Energizer Bunny activity that you have. Who are you going to be working with? How are you going to help them? And is there a stage involved in this ideal day that you have?
1,000%. God downloaded a vision to me when I was like 17. It's like, don't know if I'm married, if I have kids, where I'm living, big house, if I'm out of my car, didn't matter. All I knew is I was on stage speaking to the masses. But my ideal day, I am so blessed to say that I get to genuinely live right now, which I also just think's prove like to me, it's really important as a coach to be a product of my own product. If somebody is going to trust and invest in me to help them through the deepest, darkest parts of their lives, I better be able to practice what I preach.
Hmm.
So I think it is super important for me that I'm feeling fulfilled in the life that I'm living, because how am I supposed to coach other people through that if I don't feel that?
Hmm.
I feel like that's just not good integrity. So yes, for me, what I do is I get up at 4:03 a.m. every single day. make my bed, drink my water, take my vitamins, start my coffee,
Okay,
and I go.
okay, stop. I'm sorry. I rarely interrupt. I meant to ask you this earlier. Okay, 403, is it scripture related?
No, it is just
Okay.
because I am a rebellious soul and I don't do anything in zeros or fives because everybody does stuff in
Yeah.
zeros or fives. I
Okay.
don't set my alarms, my thermostat, the volume, the timer on the microwave, anything, nothing will ever be on a zero or five.
That's hilarious. And based on everything you have told us thus far, that makes total sense. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
No, it's totally good. But yes, I would get up and I always say I go to the word before I go to the world. So I don't go near my phone and I go straight to my Bible and I spend time with God. And I do that for about the first hour of my day. And then I get to go to the gym and I get in a good workout. And then I start my work day where I get to coach my clients, which the people that I work with is I do group stuff and I also do like workshops and things like that. But my sweet spot is very much the one-on-one work because it's like me getting to see the parts. I work with the strong people, right? Takes one to know one, as you could hear from my story. You can't hide from me. Like you can't get a kidder. I know the things that you say to get through a situation and just keep moving forward. And it is a beautiful, necessary skill to have. But one of my favorite quotes of all time, we need water to survive, but water can also kill us. So too much of anything can become a problem. And so I love that I get to be the blind spot. I don't believe anybody's broken. It's not my job to fix them. I work with men and women both who they're these type A overdriving people and they're doing amazing things, but they're not happy with the lives that they live in because they're not happy with here. And that's whether they're believers or not. So getting to sit in like just the depths of like what's going on and rewire their brains and bring light to the like parts of them that they're not willing to ever even maybe admit to themselves even, but having a proactive and a forward thinking approach that's not like, hey, I just went to therapy, nothing wrong with therapy, please hear me on that. But what I have found for myself and many of also my clients and the issue that I've seen in that is that people just feel like they're stuck talking about their problems over and over again. And my analogy for that is that it's like your brain is almost like the attic to a home. And what happens is that's full of like dusty, crusty boxes. All this stuff is up there. And you're like, you know what? Today's the day I got to go upstairs and clean my attic. And you open up, today's the day I'm going to deal with my past traumas and face them. And then you open up the attic door and you're like, yeah, that's a no.
Not today.
Yes. So a therapist, it's great because a therapist will go up to the attic with you and help you bring that down because you're not having to carry all that by yourself. But more times than not, and again, I'm not speaking on all therapists, this is not a blanket statement, but what I have seen for myself as well as other people is that that's where it stops, is that now they pulled all this stuff down from the attic and it's scattered across their living room floor. So now already all this other stuff in life and emotions and fears and stresses that they're facing, they have all of this past stuff that's cluttering up the space as well. And they're like, I can't even get from my kitchen to my living room. So as a coach, and what the NLP work is that I get to do is it's like, okay, I can go up to the attic and help you bring that down, but what are we going to do with this? Like, hey, this is a lot. Let's maybe put that back up in the attic for now. Or like, you know what? This really doesn't serve us anymore. Let's go throw that in the dumpster. And then, hey, I forgot I had this. This is really nice. Let's hang this up on the wall. So it's more of a like, what are we going to do with the information now that we have it? Which is a very freeing thing, especially when you don't have to do it by yourself. So that would ideally be what I'm doing throughout the day, getting to interview on podcasts and getting to just mingle and meet so many people. I actually run a networking organization here in Austin as well. So getting to connect other people and just build up people and create community for people serving through my church and then getting to speak on stages, traveling and doing that. That's my ideal day, week, life. And I am super grateful that that's what I have right now.
So back to that ideal day.
Mhm.
How many one-on-one coaching calls are you going to have?
So I don't ever take on for the year, I don't ever take on more than 10 to 12 clients because I do such extensive work with them and we meet for an hour at a time and then I follow up with them and we always have like extra things that we're doing in between then. So I am very, very particular in who I take on and I work with on those things.
So it's not likely you're having more than a couple a day.
1000%.
Okay. And so, you got your morning routine, you got your coffee, you got your workout, you got a couple coaching calls, you got maybe a podcast interview, and then that night, maybe you're going to be give a keynote. What you going to talk about?
So currently what it is that I talk about, I love talking about self-leadership. I love talking about communication. I love talking about forgiveness. And I love talking about purpose and identity. Those are my current topics.
Woo! Um, is there a book?
Yes, I forgot that part. I did. I wrote a book last year. So there's a book if people want it. Yes, Beyond the Words, 123 quotes to inspire action and growth.
Beyond the words. I don't even know if that was in your bio.
Oops. Yeah,
I
so it's for me. I intentionally, again, I rebelled. I wasn't going to have it end in a 0 or a 5, and I didn't want it to be a 365-day one because I'm an overachiever. And that would mean that I would have to read one every single day and I would want to do it in order. So I intentionally picked an off the wall number, and also because I wanted it to be the ones that were intentionally meant the most for me through some of the darkest time of my life. Some of them are even Jamieisms, as I call them, ones that I came up with that got me through things. But what I do in the book, it's not a book you read from start to finish. It's a great coffee table book because you could just walk by, pick it up, read something, and then go about your day. But on the left side of every page is a quote, and on the right side is how I perceived the quote, what it meant to me at the time, or part of my testimony and what it helped get me through. And then I always give a call to action for somebody to go take that information and do something with it that day.
Ooh, tell us the name of that again.
Beyond the Words, 123 quotes to inspire action and growth.
Ooh, that's fire right there. And that came out last year?
Yes, in April. So I just passed my 1 year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So do you have the book bug again, or are you good letting that lie for just a little
At
bit?
some point, I think I got a couple more books in me, but right now, not yet.
Yeah, I totally relate. I'm like, I don't even want to hear the word book right now.
Well, it's funny
But
because my last book, I actually wrote it and it was just chilling in my Google Docs for like 5 years. And then my friend who wanted me to be a keynote at one of her conferences was like, hey, for marketing's sake, like I'm gonna help you. Like she has a publishing company. She's like, I'm gonna help you write a book so we can use that to market you. And I was like, I already wrote one. She goes, why have you never told me this? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, well, then let's publish it. So honestly, it probably wouldn't have been published had it not been for her nudging me. So
fascinating. So I'm interested in your answer to this next question.
okay.
And I'm trying not to assume. Tell us about a time in your life when you didn't feel worthy of love, respect, and success. And before you do, are we going back to childhood, or are you going to surprise me?
Oh, see, now you just challenged me with a chance to surprise you. Um, well, so I mean, I got to be honest. There was the majority of my entire upbringing that I never felt like worthy. Because for me, and I actually wrote a sermon on this. If I ever were to become a pastor, I got a sermon ready to go. But that for me, I always felt like I was in the middle because I was always able to justify how it wasn't that bad what I was going through. Like I was even in an abusive relationship. Like I was thrown down the stairs, I was choked, like bashed, my
Oh
head
my
was bashed up
God.
against the window while I was driving us, like in the middle of a city, like crazy stuff. Like I was into drugs and alcohol. I attempted to end my life on multiple occasions. I was raped at one point. So like your girl has been through it. But
Oh,
like I still was always able to be like, but I've always had a roof over my head. Like I always still at least was able to have food in my belly, but I at least don't have to deal with having a kid while I have this. So it was like for me, I like shamed myself for being ashamed, where it was that it wasn't bad enough to feel sorry for myself. So it's like I wasn't even worthy enough of feeling bad for myself, which, and then, and like I said, I doubled down on
mm,
shame and it made me feel even darker about who I was. Yeah, because it was like I felt like I was just in this middle area that life wasn't good. So I certainly didn't feel worthy, but I didn't feel like I had it bad enough to also feel sorry for myself. And so in that, it made me feel like I was just like floating in this unique category that nobody cared about, right? So yeah.
That's fascinating. That tell me I'm wrong because it wouldn't be the first time. It tells me somewhere deep down, even then, you understood the depths of gratitude.
Um, I wouldn't say that. I think it was literally because a limiting belief that I
Okay.
had was because like I verbally was shamed with that. It could be so much worse. You should be grateful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So mine
Wow.
wasn't that I had an understanding. Mine was that I was very much told
Hmm.
that life could be so much worse. So how dare you act like it's that bad?
Mm. Wow. So tough. Wow. Goodness. So, what would you say was the primary thing that pulled you through those times of unworthiness?
So what's really, really cool, and I just had like fully, there's been glimpses of this, but like you said, it's like logically, but like to get it to your heart is a different thing.
Hmm.
Um, and God's been continuing to peel back layers because I've walked away from my faith many of times. I always joke and say, and trust me, even as I say this, I'm not bashing it. It's just my particular phrase. I always tell people I'm a recovering Catholic. Um, so was raised with that again, very grateful for the understanding, the truth and the law. But I personally, my church didn't necessarily bring that on. How I interpreted it was that there was no room for this concept of grace, and grace was like Chinese to me. Um,
Mm.
so I walked away from my faith a lot, especially with just kind of life confirming for me that it was sucky and dark and that I would never get to be happy. And then God met me in a lot of these moments, and it's really cool. I go back and I look at my notes, like my journaling, Steve, which actually the very back of my book. This is something that I added after I wrote it, and it sat there for 5 years. It's at the very end of the book. It's called My Bonus Blessing, and it was in 2017 when I hit a really really low point, and was one of the many times I had attempted suicide and was considering, and I didn't even really know like worship like music or that was a thing like that terminology of genre of music because I just knew Catholic Church at that point. And randomly, I put on my Pandora like worship playlist, and I sat down at my kitchen table and I started writing a poem, and it was called "I Talked with God Today." So it's like I get to go back and I see like God was clearly revealing Himself the whole time. And
Yep.
I had a mentor tell me this, and so Michelle, I'm shouting you out for telling me this. She goes, "God is such a gentleman that He's willing to wait on you." And I loved how that sounded. Like he's not going to force me to change or for like he's just going to be a gentleman, and he's going to wait. He's going to hold the door open for me, and he's going to wait until I reach the door to let me in. And so that's something that slowly was happening over time. And I noticed that he continued to cultivate more and more within my life. And then the closer that I started walking in relationship to him, that was really when everything started to change. And I was able to truly see the power of surrendering um, everything, the good, the bad, and what it all was really for, how he still got the glory and what the purpose of this life is about, and all of that. And the more and more that I've just understood it, like the chains just continued to fall off. So it wasn't immediate. And I think that that is something I always want to pinpoint to people is because a lot of times people love to share this glorious testimony of one day I got hit upside the head and everything changed. Oh no, because I continued to fall endlessly in that. But now getting to connect the dots looking backward, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was there and it was happening the whole time. And even in the darkest parts of my life, which I'm going to go there because I think it's fair. I told you I was going to give you all raw. I had not actually shared with anybody, not even my mom. I wrote a blog about it a while back because that was how I tried to grieve with it, but nobody knew that I had gotten raped. And for the first time this February, I actually shared it through my intensive coaching thing that
Mm.
I went through and um, unpacked and out loud said every detail from start to finish that I remembered. And they made space for me, and it was amazing. And then after that, I spent some time with God, and I was like, God, where were you in that? Like, you weren't in my childhood. You weren't through my life in this. Like, clearly you abandoned me in that. And it was like the sweetest thing. I just had like worship music playing in the background. And so it was so evident that this wasn't some positive thing I had read on social media about God that somebody posted. It definitely wasn't my voice. I don't know how to even explain it, but it was just definitely something from God. And I was like, God, where were you? Like, I sat there and I was like, tell me where you were. Like, I want to know where you were sitting in that room as you were watching this rape happen. And I cried out to you, like, where were you? And it was like a moment of just softness and silence. And then all of a sudden, I just heard, baby girl, that was really hard for me to watch. Nobody's ever called me baby girl. So that's also how I know it was God. Let's just call it that. But it was like, that was so hard for me to watch. And I really hated that that had to happen to you. And I want you to know that I was loving and protecting you from so much worse that could have happened. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. But I want you to also see, despite that happening, look at what has happened because of that. Like now I get to have that conversation. And when I have clients and these type A people who again look like they've had it all together, it's insane how many people have experienced rape and don't feel that they can talk about it. Because even in that scenario, my rape wasn't bad enough. So that's why I didn't talk about it
Mm, mm.
because it could have been so much worse. I wasn't like being threatened with my life. Like if I probably would have tried to push the person off, they probably would have stopped. Right. And so I shamed myself into thinking it wasn't bad enough for me to even call it that I was raped. So, all of that to say, it's like God was like, I was with you through that. That was hard. And I want you to know that, like, I protected you. I loved you through it. And now look at what has come because of that. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go relive that. I wouldn't ask to have that happen in my life again, but I would not want to change it for the world because of how I get to heal other people because of it.
Eh, I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened. I was interviewing somebody early on in the network, and they shared a similar story. And I said the same thing to them, and they said to me, I said, I'm sorry that happened to you. And they corrected me very gently. And they said, well, it happened for me. And it's very similar, like what God has done to put you in positions to help others that have experienced the same thing, to be able to write about it if you choose to write about it, to have a stage. And it's not to bring attention to yourself, it's to serve, it's to help. And I was interviewing somebody yesterday who was raped, and he slit her throat before he left. And by the grace of God, she lived. And the millions of people that she's sharing that story with to his glory is phenomenal. And I'm with you. Yeah, no way you
Yeah.
would ever want to go back into that environment. It
Yeah.
happened. It's part of your journey. Look what God's doing. He's a redemptive God.
Yeah.
Um,
If
man,
you don't mind, I was going to say, if you don't
yeah,
mind, I want to speak on this because I think each one
yeah,
of our situations, and it's obviously not fair for me to put myself in to speak on behalf of them because that's their testimony, right?
that's right.
A couple of differences that I also would just like to point out because of clearly it's a lot more common than what people are aware of. But
Hmm.
one thing that I've also learned to discern in my walk with God
Excuse me.
is that we have God, we have the enemy, and we have our own free will to choose.
That's right.
And so the only reason why I'm sharing this is not to discredit anything that was just said. It's also to hopefully expand a vantage point on it that like there were certain decisions and things that I did in my life that got me into that position. I don't think that from the beginning of time, God is like, I'm going to plan for my daughter to end up in this person's house and she's going to get raped so that way she can tell a testimony about it later. I also don't think that this woman who has somebody who wants to slit their throat, it was that she just made a couple of really inappropriate, decisions that gave her that consequence. No, that is also, in my opinion, the enemy trying to destroy what purpose God has over this child's life. And like, I just think there's such a broad spectrum to this. And so On that note, just because this is just, it popped into my, it's burning in my belly, so I have to share it. I don't know if that's me or if that's God convicting me to say it, but I feel really pulled to share this right now. Specifically for that woman who her throat got slit during that interaction. How crazy is it when you really think about it, right? That you are so worthy of a human. You are so chosen and special that you would have God and the enemy fighting so hard for you.
True.
So even in that, it's not like God let this happen. This was all part of God's plan so I could be used later. It's like, nah, hey, there's a really crappy enemy out there that's trying to seek, kill, and destroy, but God.
Yeah. Well, and every situation's different
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you mentioned free will. I mean, we haven't had time to go into all the details, don't need to go into all the details of what got you there. Their stories are different
Right.
in what the the physical enemy and the spiritual enemy were doing. Um, but it's God redeems it all is the point.
Yes.
If we
Yes.
let him,
Yes.
if we forgive. Now that's a whole nother conversation. I know you
Yes.
speak on that. I speak on that too. But
I at
yeah,
least just wanted to just, in case anybody who is watching, because I know that especially if I'm in a certain broken state and somebody says something like that, it's like to be also angry with God in that moment. I also do like to just make sure like, but we are still battling against good and evil. Like it's not just against flesh and blood. And so I just, that was the main reason why I wanted to just hopefully set somebody free in that, that it also isn't just automatically, oh, says God had a plan and that was a really crappy one. But that was what you had to go through, you know?
oh, well, let me clarify that. When we read things even in the Bible, sometimes it seems like, oh, this from A to B was instantaneous. I
We
mean,
like to, yeah, we like to take it real quick.
I can assure you, in the example I gave of the person that says it happened for me, that came after over 3 decades of
Right,
wrestling with God and crying and
right.
fighting with God. So, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't mean to make it sound nonchalant that it
Oh
just
no, I
happened
don't think, no, trust me,
instantaneously.
I don't think that you did. It's just somebody who has been in very dark places and hearing stuff that's meant to be inspirational. It could be like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm really glad you think it happened for you, but right now I'm walking in it and it doesn't feel like this is for me. And if it is, this is a
Exactly.
really crappy gift and I would like it if you take it back right now. I
Yep.
want to
It
move
all
on.
depends on where you're at on the journey. Yes, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, tell folks where they can find you and learn more about the great work you're doing.
Yes, sign your stuff away. That's what my stuff is there for. I am the Jayme with no eyes. So Jayme. You can find me on Instagram, Jayme the coach, Jayme Shiarla. Shiarla is where the I randomly creeps in. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube. I haven't posted in a long time, but I have a podcast, my Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jayme. My book you can find on Amazon. And I think that's it. CoachJayme.com if you want to cyberstalk my website.
We'll have all her pertinent links in the show notes afterwards. And I just want to thank you, Jayme, for coming on here and not being shallow. You laid it all on the line and you were vulnerable, and it's obvious the wisdom that you've shared with the network today. And I want to thank you for, gosh, your stories were remarkable. I learned a lot more today than even when we first met, a few weeks ago. But I love the life you're living. I love how you're giving back. I love how you're serving. And I love I'm not going to use that word because it's such a catchword. I almost caught myself using it. I love the rawness, the
Oh,
realness.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so good.
And as you said, this story is still being written. Because if we still got breath in our lungs, he ain't done. He's up to something, and there's more to come. He wouldn't be waking us up today if there wasn't still purpose to it. So,
No doubt about it. Guys, I leave you with this. Not a lot to add. Jayme said exactly what I was going to say. Your story's not over yet. And you are worthy of love, respect, and success because of the blood of Jesus. He died for you. That's how much he loved you. And there you go. Jesus loves you. And I want to tell you that whatever you're praying for, working hard towards trying to achieve, keep doing that. But you don't suddenly become worthy when those things happen. You're worthy today as you're working and praying about it. And those things that weren't so great or even awful, you know what? You were worthy then. Jayme, you were worthy during
Mhm,
those ordeals that you described to us.
mhm.
You're worthy and your story matters, and we appreciate you. Until next time, God bless.